English literature, short notes on literary terms. William Shakespeare, John Donne, Thomas Gray, William Wordsworth, John Keats. William Shakespeare as an Elizabethan poet. Born at Stratford-upon-Avon, Shakespeare 1564 to 1660 was an Elizabethan poet and the greatest dramatist of all ages. He composed 154 sonnets and wrote 37 plays, which are still unparalleled. His best quality that made him a classic is objectivity. His objectivity has made him popular in all countries in all times, but it has also made him so obscure that some people now doubt whether his plays were really written by a person known as Shakespeare. Another quality that contributed to his fame is his capability to combine imagination and reality in the same writing. He did not follow the set rules of literature to give free rein to his imagination, but he never forgot realities. His insight into human character is amazing. His four great tragedies are Macbeth, Hamlet, Othello, and King Lear. He innovated a kind of sonnet form called Shakespearean sonnet. All of these 154 sonnets are written in this form. Each of his sonnets consists of 3 quatrains and a couplet. The rhyme scheme of this type of sonnet is AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. Though an Elizabethan Shakespeare is universal, a true classic. People liked his plays and poems in the past, they like him at present, and they will continue to like him in future. John Donne as a metaphysical poet. John Donne, 1572 to 1631, wrote poetry in the Jacobean age and Caroline age. He is best known as a metaphysical poet. In reaction to the Elizabethan tradition, Donne started writing a new kind of poetry which eventually came to be known as metaphysical poetry. The other poets of this school of poetry are Andrew Marvell, George Herbert, Henry Vaughan, and Richard Crashaw. Donne preferred subjects that dealt with things which did not have concrete shapes. His main subjects were love, faith, soul, death, and God, which did not have physical existence. He opened poems dramatically and used arguments consistent with very frequently in them, with the effect of surprise and stun. Finally, he used conversational tone, and he was often careless of meter and rhyme. In our age, we know him because of his songs and divine poems. His Good Morrow is an exquisite piece of metaphysical poetry. The poem opens dramatically in the tradition of metaphysical poetry. I wander by my troth, what thou and I did till we loved. Its sudden conversational opening arrests the attention of the readers. The theme of love has been developed argumentably from surprise to confidence and then to immortality. Further, Donne uses several concepts to develop the thought. The concepts are: number A, the comparison between unaware lovers and the breastfed babies. Number B, the comparison between the unconscious lovers and the 7 sleepers who slept for 200 years. Number C, the comparison between the lovers' micro world with the real world, and the comparison between the 2 hemispheres and the 2 lovers. So, dramatic beginning, abstract theme, use of arguments, concepts, and colloquialism are the main features of Donne's metaphysical poetry. Thomas Gray as an elegy writer. Thomas Gray, 1716 to 1771, an 18th century poet, is mainly known for his famous elegy written in a country churchyard. It is believed that if he had written this elegy, very few people would have known his name. As an elegy writer, he bears the stamps of both new classical and romantic traditions. The poem is written in quatrains of iambic pentameter lines, but his diction is clear to the pompous and artificial diction of Pope and Dryden. His language is very occasionally simple. His language is only occasionally simple and lucid. Like the Romantics, however, his main interest was in nature and common people. The characters of his elegy are common people living in the lap of nature. Gray had much interest in old poets like Milton, Spenser, and Shakespeare. In his elegy, he alludes to Milton, Cromwell, and Hampden, and suggests the immense possibilities of poor villagers who were never materialized because of proper scopes. In the traditional framework of the elegy, he turns out, just like Shelley and Byron, as a bitter critic of the rich and powerful, the boast of heraldry, the pomp of power, and all that beauty, all that wealth ever gave awaits alike to inevitable hour. The paths of glory leads but to the grave. The poem is full of pathos, and the tone changes as the thought develops. Though a melancholic mood runs throughout the poem, it is not always the same. It changes frequently from subjectivity to objectivity, from specific to general, from liking to disliking, and from self-pity to self-glory. So he is a part of dual tendencies. He is simultaneously a new classical and a romantic poet. All these qualities characterize him as an unparalleled elegy writer. William Wordsworth, as a romantic poet. William Wordsworth, 1770 to 1850, is well known as the main exponent of the revival of Romanticism. The French Revolution in 1789 left a deep impression on him in favor of the common people. This finally resulted in a new kind of poetry. Wordsworth and Coleridge decided together to bring a radical change in the selection of subject, language, and form of poetry. Wordsworth composed 19 poems and Coleridge composed four poems according to their new concept of poetry. These poems were published in a volume called Lyrical Ballads in 1798. This volume marks the beginning of Romantic poetry. Wordsworth's Romanticism rests chiefly on the belief in the relationship between man and nature. In his poetry, there is a detailed account of the complex interaction between man and nature rather than a simple observation of nature. I wandered lonely as a cloud exemplifies the communion between man and nature and the healing power of nature. It also reflects his concept of the romantic imagination and his belief in the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility, which he professed as the theory of poetry. His belief in the presence of a divine power in nature is another aspect of his romanticism. He is known as Pantheism. However, in his romantic theory, man is at the center of nature. Man is at the center of the nature. His famous poem, Michael, reflects his interest in the true feelings of common people. But therefore, as a romantic poet, Wordsworth's contribution to English poetry is unquestionable. John Keats, as a romantic poet. John Keats, 1795 to 1821, was the youngest among the romantic poets. Though he had not been recognized as a major English poet for many centuries, in the modern age he was recognized as a great English poet. Keats was devoted to pure art for the sake of art. The poetic world of Keats is therefore free from Wordsworth's Pantheism, Coleridge's supernaturalism, Shelley's and Byron's revolutionary zeal. His poetry was influenced, if it was influenced by anything, by Hellenism or the ancient Greek and Roman literary tradition. However, the Greek control over form and content was absent in Keats. He enjoyed romantic freedom in his choice of the simplification of verse form and using high-soaring imagination. Another aspect of his poetry is sensuousness. This means that he used such a language that the sensuous perception became inevitable. Further, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, wrote Keats. The theme of beauty may be sensual or aesthetic or religious or spiritual. Here lies the glory of kids' romanticism. Again, there is a trend of avoiding hard realities in kids' poetry. That does not mean that Keats himself was an escapist. The fact is that it was common inclination of the Romantic poet to look for idealism in imagination. Therefore, the escaping tendency in Keats' poems is in reality a romantic trait. Finally, Keats claimed that he had the imaginative capabilities, by which he meant that he was as objective as Homer or Shakespeare. Keats' romanticism therefore includes Hellenism, sensuousness, a sense of beauty, high-soaring imagination, and objectivity. Thank you, viewers, for watching my video.